In 1985, Jonah Pierce, young broke, wearing a pale pink shirt, walked into family court and demanded to adopt 3 black baby girls in matching pink lace dresses. Everyone said he was reckless. Even his fiancée walked away, but he refused to let the sisters be torn apart. 40 years later, the world would see what his impossible choice created. 3 women who changed lives and the father who never let go. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The year was 1985. A cracked linoleum floor, the smell of disinfectant, and the hum of tired fluorescent lights marked the county foster office. Jonah Pierce sat stiff in his chair, his pale pink-ribbed shirt damp under the arms, his jaw clenched. Across from him, 3 toddlers clung together on a worn couch. 3 black baby girls in matching pink lace dresses, wide blue eyes scanning every movement in the room. They were quiet, almost too quiet, as if afraid sound itself might separate them. The social worker, Ruth Delgado, tapped her pen on a stack of files. "Mr. Pierce, we have to be realistic. One man, single, 24, working nights at the hospital laundry. You can't manage 3 children." Jonah's voice was low but hard. "They're not 3. They're one set. You split them, you break them." Ruth sighed. "We had a couple interested in taking Alma alone. The others would likely know." Jonah leaned forward, palms flat. "Don't even finish that sentence. Look at them." He pointed at the toddlers. Their tiny hands were knotted together, fingers wide at the knuckles. "You try prying one off, you'll need an army. They only sleep together. They only stop crying together. That's not paperwork. That's bond from the corner." The landlady, Mrs. Kellerman, who'd insisted on attending, scoffed. "Bond doesn't pay rent. Mr. Pierce, you're behind already, and 3 babies crying in the night. My walls are thin. I'll be fielding complaints every week." Jonah turned, temper flashing. "Then raise my rent. Take another deposit. But don't tell me they don't deserve walls. They can share." The social worker pinched the bridge of her nose. "Mr. Pierce, listen. You don't have a wife. You don't even own your place. You've got a fiancée who already called me. Vera," Jonah muttered bitter. "Yeah, she made me choose. Said she won't marry a man who drags 3 kids home out of pity." "And what did you say?" Ruth asked, testing him. "I said love isn't pity, and if she can't see that she's not the woman I thought." Silence stretched. The babies shifted, eyes fixed on Jonah. One of them, Nia, reached a small hand toward him, the pink lace sleeve sliding down her arm. Jonah pushed his chair back, knelt on the linoleum, and let her fingers curl into his beard. The other 2, Alma and Zola, followed, wobbling off the couch until all 3 pressed against his chest. "You see," Jonah's voice cracked. "I don't need to be blood. They chose me already." The court hearing that followed was brutal. A distant relative appeared, demanding rights to only one child, Alma, arguing she had better chances if separated. The courtroom was stuffy, the judge's gavel sharp. "Mr. Pierce," Judge Hart said, frowning down. "On paper, this borders on reckless. You're young, poor, and alone." Jonah rose, fists at his sides. "On paper, I'm a risk. But on the ground, at 2 a.m, when they wake choking on fevers at dawn, when bottles line the sink, that's where I show up. You can find them another home, but you'll never find them another together." The relative snapped. "He's not even family." Jonah's glare burned. "Family is who stays." The judge looked to Ruth. "Is this true? That they come only when placed together?" Ruth hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. We've tried. They screamed for hours apart together. Silence in minutes. The gavel fell. Temporary custody to Mr. Pierce. We'll revisit in 6 months." Jonah didn't breathe until he stepped into the hallway with the decree in his hand. The girls were on his hips and shoulders, their pink dresses, brushing his shirt. He whispered, 6 months is enough. I'll prove a lifetime." But the proving was war. Nights he pushed industrial washers at the hospital, hands raw from bleach. Days he rocked 3 cribs in rotation, scribbled feeding times on masking tape, and dozed sitting up against a wall. His neighbors banged on ceilings. Mrs. Kellerman waved late notices. When the laundry truck he bought on credit got rear-end, he patched it with duct tape and borrowed more. Interest eating his paychecks alive. One winter night, the power blew. The apartment was dark, the girls whimpering. He huddled them in blankets, filled thermoses with warm water from the building boiler, and whispered lullabies until dawn. A neighbor, suspicious, called CPS. 2 agents knocked at 3 a.m. They found Jonah shirtless, pale pink shirt draped over a chair, all three girls asleep against his chest, blue eyes flickering open as flashlights swept the room. One agent whispered to the other, "They're fine." Case dismissed. But Jonah's pride took the blow. If one call could threaten their place, everything was fragile. 10 years later, the fragility cracked. Bills piled high, the truck engine gave out, and collectors circled. Jonah sat at the table, shoebox open, folding the tiny pink lace dresses. His hands shook as he pressed the lid. The girls, now 10, slept in the next room. He whispered into the silence, "I promise to keep you together, but I don't know how much longer I can hold this line." The eviction notice slid under the door. The eviction notice lay like a knife on the table. Jonah read it twice, then folded it in half, hiding it in the shoebox with the pink lace dresses. He couldn't let the girls see it. They were 10, old enough to notice when the cupboards thinned. When he came home limping from double shifts, when he sat staring at bills with his jaw clenched that week, he swallowed his pride and knocked on Mrs. Kellerman's door. The landlady crossed her arms. "You're drowning, Pierce. Maybe it's time you let the state place them where they can be comfortable." His voice was gravel. "Comfortable doesn't raise kids. Commitment does." She smirked. "Then prove it. You're already 3 months behind." He proved it by working until his back screamed. He washed linens for hospitals, hotels, and clinics. He fixed the laundry truck engine himself, cutting his knuckles raw on frozen bolts. He started carrying the girls with him, teaching them to fold sheets into sharp rectangles, to sort whites from colors, to write down every penny. Together, they turned survival into rhythm. The 6-month custody review became permanent adoption. Judge Hart leaned forward that day. "Iron the 3 girls now in matching church dresses Jonah had ironed overnight. Mr. Pierce, against all odds, you've kept them safe in school and together. That's not reckless. That's remarkable." Jonah only nodded, throat too tight to speak. The decree listed all 3 names under his guardianship. He slipped it into the shoe box with the dresses. The years that followed were not easy. The girls grew, and so did questions. Kids at school whispered, "Why do you look nothing like your dad?" Jonah answered calmly every time. "Because family is built, not copied." When racism reared its teeth in grocery lines, in hallways, even from teachers, Jonah stood in front of them like a wall. He took the insults, then went home and told the girls, "Don't waste your voice on hate. Save it for your dreams." They listened. Nia, steady-eyed, gravitated toward the hospital where Jonah once hauled sheets. She shadowed nurses, then fought her way into training. By her 30s, she was teaching new NICU staff, telling them about the night her father kept her sisters warm with nothing but thermoses and blankets. Amma Sharptanj studied law. She spent nights in the library, her father's old pink shirt draped over her shoulders for warmth. In court, she later argued for sibling bond protections, citing her own adoption case as precedent. She won. Zola, restless and inventive, sketched cribs and bottle warmers in her notebooks. Jonah teased her. "Your doodles look like laundry cards." She grew into an entrepreneur designing affordable baby gear, naming her company Pierce Together. Through it all, Jonah kept working, his hair silver and his hands rough. He never remarried. His fiancée Vera crossed paths once at the market years later. But Jonah only nodded politely. He had no space for regret. By 2025, Jonah was 64. His back bent from years of lifting, but his eyes still lit at the sight of his daughters. They surprised him one spring morning, gathering him onto a cream-colored couch. On the coffee table sat the shoe box, now battered with age. Amma lifted the lid. Inside were the faded pink lace dresses folded carefully beside the yellowing court decree. Jonah's hands trembled. "You kept these all this time." Zola grinned. "We kept you, Dad. Now it's our turn." They handed him papers, not bills, but deeds. Together, they had bought and restored their first foster home. Its new name hung on a brass plaque, the Pink Dress House. It would shelter siblings so no child would face separation the way they almost had. At the ribbon cutting, a crowd gathered. Former case workers, nurses, neighbors, even Ruth Delgado, hair now white, clapped from the front row. Vera appeared too, older, carrying flowers. She approached Jonah softly. "You were right. I didn't believe in this in them, but you did. And look what they became." Jonah's reply was gentle without anger. "You wanted an easier life. I wanted their life." The sisters stepped forward, blue eyes gleaming against the flash of cameras. They draped a fresh pale pink shirt over Jonah's shoulders and framed him between them, just as they had in the first Polaroid. Reporters asked questions. Jonah ignored them. He leaned close, whispering so only the three could hear. Still together always. If Jonah's courage and the daughter's journey touched you, let us know in the comments. Would you have taken the same risk? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And tell us if you want more stories of love, struggle, and impossible promises kept.